showing the old Trooper here that I got back several months ago and have been upgrading. Wanted to show a little bit for Survival Tech Nord, and to a lesser degree a little shout out to DemCAD. Using these older 4x4 vehicles as a bug out rig is pretty good. I just wouldn't make a heavy investment financially in a survival bug out rig, because there's things in life that are going to make you a profit, and this isn't one of them. Okay, this is one of those just in case type of things, kind of a weekend 4x4 thing. I don't use this as a daily driver, and part of that is, in order to have one of these things ready for a shit hit the fan situation, you don't want to be putting it at risk on a daily basis. I mean, that's just reality. There's a lot of stuff that would be in other people's survival rigs. It's worth a lot more than the rig. I'm not going over a lot of details on YouTube yet, but there was a theft recently, and a lot of my survival hardware, shall we say it, was stolen. And it was stolen by people I trusted, and people that a friend of mine trusted, and it turned into a bad situation. Part of that is being discussed elsewhere. But on this, I wanted to use things that are very, very useful in a shit hit the fan situation, and going to be kind of a low cost. Okay, so I'm not trying to be the best of the best on everything, because when you show off a lot of high-end, good survival stuff, it just kind of tends to, with a lot of people, it tends to provoke a lot of jealousy, hatred, and avarice of people that just figure, what you have is too good for you, what they have is not good enough for them, so they're going to correct it by stealing. And that's what happened to me up in Washington State not that long ago. So one of the things I got to look at is keeping the survivalist stuff, useful, utilitarian, and on a budget. Some stuff you can go high end, and high end isn't that expensive. Other stuff, the low end is going to work. So what I have in here is a relatively standard stereo. I put it on a heavy duty metal chassis mount. No reason to put the original plastic back in. I got a basic Cobra Cb Radio. CB radio is underutilized in the United States right now, so a lot of times CB is not crowded. There's probably more Balefang radios being sold in the prepper communities right now than CB radios, and CB radios are just fine for vehicle-to-vehicle communication. Not that long ago, I was driving through the forest fire areas in Washington State, and the channels are entirely clear, including 9 and 19. Entirely clear, no monitoring, no traffic. I was monitoring them, and I tried communicating with people to figure out what and where the road blockages were, and generally speaking, I received no response back. You get a lot of distortion in CB radio. A lot of that has to do with the quality of equipment that's out there and the bands that are available. So vehicle-to-vehicle convoy communication, everybody can have a CB radio. They're an underutilized resource, even in a shit hit the fan situation. Might as well put it in. The entire installation on this was less than $100, and if I had really shopped carefully on Amazon instead of buying a lot of these components at a truck stop, it could have been even cheaper. Other upgrades and modifications in here are some additional 12-volt outlets. Those 12-volt outlets are always on, so if I put a auxiliary solar panel on the dashboard, then that feeds the system. I'm probably going to go with a solar panel on the hood or on the top of the vehicle, the way DemCAD has, because there's so much extra electronics in here with a potential for killing a battery. I want to make sure everything's up and running. The other thing is, if the vehicle sits for a long time, which it will, I want a fully charged battery when I get there. Stick shift. This particular year model, automatic transmissions were extremely rare. The other thing is, these vehicles are slow, so anything that sucks up the limited horsepower of the engine is going to be detrimental. The vast majority of these are going to be stick shift. Normally, on a bug out rig, I would kind of like automatic transmission. On a smaller rig, maybe it's less important. The thing about automatic transmissions is you could drive them while injured. On a stick shift, you need both legs working and you need both arms working. On an automatic transmission, you know, you can function an automatic transmission vehicle if you're injured or disabled partially. And that's one of the things to contend with. You need a driver in good health when you have a stick shift vehicle. I have a home-built roof rack on here. I think I've shown it in other vehicles. I'm sorry, in other videos. Extra crossbars. Now these are the factory pads for this, so I can put a lot of stuff on the roof. But if I put large items like sheets of plywood or something on that, they're not going to fit in the bed of this vehicle. Will fit on the roof. The other thing is I built this at a height and with rounded type stuff, not like angle iron or square tube, to minimize the likelihood of puncturing a rubber boat. Now, when I have these tools up here, that's not really going to happen. But I need to be able to consider that, hey, if I carry a rubber boat on here, I don't want to puncture it. All of the tools have these shackles welded to them so that when there's a cable lock on here, they're pretty secure. Using a Fiskar shovel, a high lift jack, and a Stanley Fubar 3, I think, or Fubar 2. Three most useful tools I could think of for this type of thing. What I would probably add also is a big hedge clipper, but I can't weld the stuff onto the fiberglass. I've got auxiliary lighting here, LED facing to the rear. That's a work light. It faces downward into the rear because when the side doors, this has like a big door, little door arrangement, and then of course I got my fuel can here. When those things are open, that's kind of like my little work and camp area, and so I'm able to light that from vehicle power. Up front here, of course, I'll keep flashlights around. This is a lot of junk. Stuff gets junked up, I got to clean it up, right? I didn't cut any holes for my antenna cables or anything here. I modified, this is an antenna mirror mount, which I heavily modified with drilling a hole all the way through everything on this so that I could run a single bolt to hold that. I'm going to do it for the shortwave radio on the other side. We'll be showing that in other videos. This is the front-facing LED auxiliary lighting. The other thing is a passenger could reach out the window and swing this to the side as a searchlight, and it can be left swung to the side, let's say to reduce wind resistance on the freeway. But this is a slow vehicle with a lot of wind resistance. It's kind of hard to fix that. Yeah, it's just not a highway performer. This is the off-road rig. So what I'm generally going to do is set this in the forward facing. Another modification I might do at a later time is separate switching for the forward facing lights. Right now they both are on the same switch. In the future I might put separate switching on them. The rear facing light is of course on separate switching. We've got the tactical running boards. You may have, earlier in this video I was standing on one of those. These things can hold 500 pounds, not a problem at all. In fact, probably more like 600 or 700 pounds, and it also reinforces the frame, protects the body. It's at about bumper height for smaller cars, so if there were a side impact, it adds a little bit of protection to the vehicle. On the passenger side, that allows me to pick up and drop off passengers without stopping. Okay, I don't need to stop to pick up and drop off passengers. For example, if we're getting up to a place where there's gates or something that needs to be breached, an obstacle that needs to be breached, somebody can be riding on the outside of the vehicle with the breaching tools. It would stop up really quick. We're not even stopping to open and close doors. They can jump right off, breach while the vehicle circles or something like that, and then drive right in, jump right back on the outside of the vehicle. The speed limit on this, we've had people on the outside as fast as 20 miles an hour. Basically, the idea is to max out the speed of the running board rider at whatever that person can run at a sprint. That way, if you know something happens, they fall off, they fall over, they're not hitting the pavement any faster than if they tripped while running. Okay, and 5 or 10 miles an hour is entirely appropriate. Any movement at all is going to make both the vehicle and that passenger a much harder target if you're doing a pickup and a drop off without stopping. Any movement at all, even at walking speed, you can do this. The other thing, of course, a tactical running board needs to be wider than normal running boards so that if a person does trip or fall off, they're not under the tires. Okay. I'm doing an upgrade modified bumper. This is a multi-purpose unit. One, I'm putting the type of a ram front that's going to be similar to what's on a lot of older police cars and tow trucks. The other thing is you'll see the additional attachment points for a tow bar, and it's for a really strong heavy-duty tow bar, so this could be towed behind a larger truck or a motorhome. And again, on transporting, this means that you could go with 2 vehicles, 1 driver. A lot of circumstances, you may be recovering another vehicle, you don't have enough drivers to go around, you want to be able to tow 1 vehicle with others safely on the highway with a tow bar, not just a chain. So this is all being set up for a tow bar. Obviously also there's a good pad there to set up for a winch. I'm probably just going to use a Harbor Freight winch, no reason to use a high-end winch. And as part of that, I've already got kind of a larger duty battery in here with battery disconnects, but I'm going to put the plugs in for the winch. We've got the Weber carb, I've got the header, I've got a lot of smog equipment that's been removed. That's simplifying the engine compartment. This thing runs great. Every time I plug off those extra vacuum lines and don't have that vacuum robbing the performance of the vehicle, it runs better. So here we've got the auxiliary lighting on the driver's side. Not too hard for me to reach out the window and kind of swing that around a little bit when it's on. And because of the narrow part of the cab, I can reach controls on the lighting all the way over to the passenger side. The rear seat, kind of hard to tell here, but the rear seat's been removed. I've put toolboxes in there, and that allows decent cargo storage plus a sleeping area up the middle. The locks, the factory locks on here, the latches, it's not too hard for somebody to bugger those, and they fail with age because they're plastic. So I retrofitted to these little store display. You see these on glass and store display, stuff like that. If I try to go with anything more secure than this, I mean, somebody can also just break the window, right? But this allows me access from the outside as long as I have the key. And again, if I'm in a shit hit the fan or a camp out situation or something like that, I'm going to remove these entirely. The glass slides back and forth, and I can get to the backpack and other stuff that's inside. Up front here, no major modifications, although I think just for me personally, I'm going to go with a custom steering wheel, custom seat covers, kind of low end camouflage. They just kind of match the theme of the vehicle. Other upgrades and mods I'm going to be doing in the near future is these door things are all flat, so I'm going to make something probably out of diamond plate aluminum to replace those. Velcro on a dash so I can attach other stuff to the dash. That's been useful in the past, but with age, you know, they kind of peel and all that stuff, so that's going to get redone. So that's pretty much the rig. I can even show in daytime here a little bit. Let's see, we'll flick the switch for the front lights. Well, maybe not yet, but that's, you know, you can kind of see how we got lighting kind of reflects back off the hood when I do that. And you know, so I got the CB radio, I've got the regular stereo. We're going to be putting a 2-meter shortwave in here. I'm sticking to low-grade equipment on that stuff because of the potential for theft. Although this isn't a daily driver in a city, I don't want it to be too attractive to theft, and so I'm just using kind of lower-end components on all this to keep the costs down. And you never know when you might have to abandon one of these vehicles, and that's another reason for just simply not putting a major investment into a survival rig, but you want to do a lot of stuff to make it utilitarian.